Hello, and welcome to the Thyroid Warrior podcast. I'm Ebony, and I'm here as your wellness facilitator. I'm going to be sharing my experiences in managing Hashimoto's disease. I really hope that it'll help you on your personal journey. Keep in mind, however, this does not substitute for medical advice. It is only for your information and motivational purposes only. Now, let's get started. Hello, everyone. I am so pumped for this week's episode. I get to interview one of my favorite people in the world, Allyson Stough. She is a health and fitness coach, and she is a wife and a mom of two beautiful children. And this week, we're going to talk about how to stay grateful, how to stay motivated, and how to really just do whatever it is that you need to do in order to take care of yourself. So I'm so excited that she took the time to go through some of her best practices with me, and we are going to talk all about them on today's episode because, guys, it's good. So with that, we are going to get started. So first things first, thank you so much for agreeing to appear on my podcast. I'm so happy to be here. Other people are going to be so touched by you being here as well. And I'm so happy to share your story. So welcome, Allyson. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm a first-time podcaster, so brace yourself.
It's going to be just fine. No worries. So as always, I jump right into it and get things going. So this podcast episode / series is just all about motivating and encouraging people and sharing your story to help someone else in the situation. So what I would want to know is talk to us a little bit about what made you decide to make a change in your life. What really sparked that?
So for me, it started around when I was having kids. So my whole life, I was active, healthy, fit as the average person was, but things changed actually in between my two kids. I have two kids right now, 9 and 6. And for me, that first one, my son Mason, if I can be honest, I always joke that he was a one-hit wonder. we said we wanted to have kids, and there he was. But when I went to have another, it was a little tougher. And there was miscarriage and complications, and that led to frustration for me because I, by nature, am a hustler. And if I decide I'm going to do something, I set my mind to it and I get it done. And this was something I had no control over. It was a new feeling for me. So I wanted a second child. I thought I was doing everything right, and it just was not happening. And at that point, I always say that sparked the most toxic relationship of my life, which was the relationship with myself. Mm-hmm. My body was not doing what I wanted it to do, and therefore I mistreated it. And I did it to a point where I realized I didn't recognize myself anymore. Mm-hmm. The good news was we did end up getting a second child eventually. It was a high-risk pregnancy, and she came out fine, but the damage was kind of already done to me. And I just remember that day, it was a picture. We were out, we had the kids out, we were out with friends. Around this time of year, we were at a fall festival, and someone took a picture. And when I looked at it, I didn't even recognize myself anymore. And it was in that moment where I said, okay, enough is enough. You have your two beautiful children. You couldn't ask for anything more, and you got to let go now and fix it. So that was really what sparked that change for me.
Wow. So that's really great just to hear about, because miscarriage and pregnancies and all that stuff is something that's typically a taboo topic that a lot of people don't like to talk about. So I admire your bravery for even just sharing it and talking about the difficulties of getting pregnant and having children. So I'm grateful that you even brought that up. But along those lines, when you said enough was enough, like, what tools and strategies did you use and implement to help you, whether it was in your business life or just your personal life, to really say, okay, I'm going to do this?
So you said it's kind of a taboo thing. And I think that's where I harbored a lot of my issues, because in my head, I said, this happens to so many people. it's almost common. And when I would say that to myself, I felt like, well, if it's common, you shouldn't be struggling so much with it. See, I related common to easy, and it really wasn't. There was nothing easy about it. There were so many feelings attached to it when it would happen. And I just think I really beat myself up over that. I kept thinking, like, everybody knows somebody who this has happened to. So why am I still struggling with it if it's so common, you know? But I really had to sit down and I got tired of my own BS. You know, I called myself out on it. Like, enough of the excuses. You've got your 2 kids. In fact, at the time when I really decided to fix it, my baby was almost 2. So the whole, well, I just had a baby didn't even work anymore. So I just had to get real with myself, say enough is enough. For me, it was a switch. It was literally a light switch. I hit a wall. I knew that if I was going to do it, it had to be 110%. There was no halfway anymore. And I had to dive right in. And really, I had to surround myself with it. And with it, go all in, positive people, positive environment, and tune out the rest. It was almost a little robotic in the beginning because I didn't give myself room for error until it became a habit, if that makes sense.
Yep, it does. It makes total sense. So that's really interesting that you talk about habit, because one of the things that I've learned, even trying to manage my thyroid disease and get my life back on track, I didn't realize how much habit would reduce the stress associated with either getting my life on track, losing and or gaining weight, understanding what was going on with me. So those things, I was just confused because, again, I'm like, okay, so everyone talks about having a habit, going to bed at the same time. Like, I didn't understand any of that. And even now, like, I'm so excited about exercise because that's a habit and that's a gift that I give to myself. And again, I just didn't understand how important it was. And now that you're talking and bringing that up, it's a wonderful thing. What advice would you give to someone who's currently struggling, who's like, okay, I'm tired of my own BS. I'm tired of the state that I'm in. I don't want to feel this way anymore. Like, what would you tell that person?
Well, to keep going with what we said, you've got to commit. You've got to commit. And like I said, commit to the point where it becomes a habit. As adults, and for me specifically as a mom, there are too many other variables flying around every day. There are too many questionable things that pop up that you're not ready for. You have to be prepared, be planned, make it a habit to the point where it's not so difficult anymore. I see people all the time with what I do now as a health and fitness coach that keep repeating the same things and expecting a different result. And you have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to do the uncomfortable. You have to be willing to do the hard things, because really it doesn't take as much as people think it does. I just said to a client who was here the other day, I said, you know what, we were talking about a specific workout program, and it's 6 weeks. And I said to her, when I committed to this 6 weeks a year ago, I knew it sounded overwhelming. But then I said to her, you know what, I'm 37 years old. What is 6 weeks? In the grand scheme of life, what is 6 weeks? Committing to 6 weeks of something hard to change my life. And those of you who know my story and know what I did for 6 weeks in the program I did, and the people I met doing that, it absolutely did change my life. And it was so worth it, but it had to become a habit. It had to become part of my daily routine. I had to surround myself with that positive atmosphere and kind of tune out the other noise.
Yes. True. It's great to have that routine. It's great to establish that. But then what happens when you have those difficult days and you're like, I don't want to? How do you get through that time?
They're there and they're so real. And sometimes they are the minute I open my eyes. Like from the get-go, sometimes they are there. Other times it's halfway through the day or whatever. But for me, it's about gratitude. The minute I feel that creep in, everything freezes. I've got to halt for a second. The world has to stop. And I often say to myself when I feel this way, Allyson, stop focusing on whatever this issue is. And I'll say to myself, name 3 things you're grateful for right now, right in this moment. Come up with 3 things you are so grateful for. And sometimes it's just hearing those that minimizes whatever the current issue is, whatever the difficult problem is, whatever the feeling is. It's just taking those deep breaths and just, you know what, but I have this, but I have this, and I have this, and it makes things better. Also, I love personal development. Give me a good book, give me a good motivational video, anything like that can turn my mood around, even a good playlist. Let's be honest, throw some good music at me and I am like happy as a clam.
For the record, P.S. guys, she gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning to exercise. And I think if one eye is open, I might join you for that tomorrow. Maybe. I'm going to try. But I mean, like, for me personally, I get up and I see Allie, she's up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Meanwhile, it's 6:30. I'm like, yep, that alarm definitely did not go off. I'm going to get up and I'm going to be with her tomorrow. And again, that cycle kind of repeated, but this time it's going to change. Anyhow. And just along that, even your mom. And for me, like, I can't speak from that vantage point, but how do you make sure that you're taking care of yourself and your family? And how do you not get rid of, but reduce the mom guilt? Because a lot of people I hear talk about that.
Mom guilt is a real thing, but I am a mom, and that's why I'm up at 5 a.m. I think that if I didn't start the day with that little bit of me time while they're all sleeping and focus on myself, and like I said, wake up with that little bit of gratitude, right? Like, I'm up another day. You know what, guys? I never think I have to work out. I get to work out. I get to get up and move my body and clear my mind and sweat it out. That's a gift. I get that. I get that time to myself. And by the time I'm finished with that workout, I can hear their little feet coming down the stairs from their bedrooms. And I get to have a conversation with them while I make their breakfast each morning. And I'm already in a good space because I've taken that hour for myself to just be present for them the rest of the time. And it's worth it to get rid of that mom guilt. I said before, I needed to get tired of my own BS and get rid of my own excuses to do this. And I'm going to be really honest. And I know some people might not like me saying this, but one of the things I hear so often from moms is this idea of, but I don't have time. I don't have time to do what you do. And look, my schedule is crazy. The things I manage, the things I do, it's a lot, but I don't believe we lack time. I believe we lack focus. We lack clarity. Perhaps we lack time management, but we don't lack time. You can do it if it matters. And I do this because I'm worth it. And I do this because my kids are worth it, because my family's worth it, because the people that I work with each day are worth it. And if I'm not in the right space, if I'm not my best version of me, then they're getting the short end of the stick. So there is no reason not to do it. Like I said, for me, it's a gift each day. It's something I get to do. It's not something I have to do.
That just gives me all the good juju's. Yeah.
All the good feels.
So even with that, would you consider that exercise as one of the ways that you practice self-care, or do you have other things that you like to do?
It is self-care for me. And I think, again, this is coming from a busy mom perspective. One of the big, my opinion, misconceptions about self-care is that it has to be an expensive trip to the spa. It has to be a fancy face mask or a new bag of bath bombs or something. It's not always that for me. Not saying I do that every now and then, but a lot of days that does not fit into my schedule. For me, self-care is sometimes throwing my phone under the bed and walking away from it for an hour. Like, no technology for a little bit, right? Sometimes it's going to bed early. Sometimes self-care is letting go of a toxic relationship. Sometimes it's forgiving myself for not meeting the unrealistic supermom standards I set for myself that day. That is just as important as those spa trips. Self-care is another thing we overcomplicate as women, as moms. It's got to be, I need a pedicure. Well, look, I'd love a pedicure, but there are other, like I said, there are other things too. Sometimes I just got to stop comparing. That's self-care. So it's the little things for me to keep me on track.
That's awesome. What are some of either your favorite personal development books, or what are you listening to right now from a video perspective or a music perspective? Like, tell us like some of your favorite personal development items.
So in terms of personal development, for me, there's two types when it comes to books. There's going to be the warm, fuzzy feel goods, and then there's going to be the things that drive my business. So for me, the warm fuzzies, I love John Gordon. I love the Energy Bus.
Oh my God. Everyone needs to do that. Everyone.
And listen to me, moms. There's a kids version. There is a kids version of the Energy Bus. You get your own version, get your kids the kids version, sit and do it together. So good. It is such a great story about keeping away the energy vampires and just keeping the good feels in place. For business, I love Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. That taught me so much about how people really put their own perspective into things and how that affects the decisions they make moving forward. And it really helped me interact with my clients a little bit better and understand where they were coming from. In terms of videos, it's really a lot of what I see other people in my business, other trainers, mentors, coaches, a lot of things that they share will catch my eye. For me, it's got to be short. I've got a short attention span, if I'm being honest. If I click on something and it's like a 45-minute video, I'm like, oh, maybe later. But if it's one of those quick, like gut punching 5-minute ones, I'm all in. Yep. And in music, I have such a crazy taste in music. It varies. It's really, I say anything but country, and it can go from one end to the other. But as long as it's got a beat that makes me move, that's all I need. That's it. That's all I need.
Awesome. That's so perfect. And I think one of the things that initially drew me to you was I could tell that no matter what came to you, no matter what obstacles you were presented with or challenges, like you were going to crush it. And that's something that's really important for me because, as you mentioned, if you guys haven't read The Energy Bus, you need to read The Energy Bus. But that was one of the greatest gifts that you could have ever given me, because it just going through so many difficult things at once, it took me from, oh my gosh, the world is coming to an end, to, I think I can do this. And I didn't realize the importance of having people in your inner circle that motivate you and encourage you and are there for you when you need it. That's so important in life, just in general. And that's a big reason why it was one of the biggest honors ever to ask you to be on the show and to talk to you and to share just how awesome you are with other people, because it makes me sad when I realize that there are a lot of people out there that don't have that support system and that person. And Allie doesn't know this, guys. I stalked her in all the most positive ways possible, because in my head, I'm like, how do I get her to mentor me, to be my friend? How do I do this without making her think that I'm creepy? I think I succeeded, although the way in which I reached out to her initially was, oh my God, I can't do this. But it turned out to be one of the most beautiful things ever. And I'm so grateful to have you in my life, to be able to text you and send you a weird face and you totally get where I'm coming from. And
everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason.
I just love it. So if people want to find you, if people want to know about all of the wonderful things and how you got the nickname Sister Bear, how can we find out more about all of your awesomeness? Where are you? Where do you hang out?
I hang out on Facebook. Allyson Stough on Facebook, Allyson Stough on Instagram. It's pretty easy to find me. And if you are entertained by the circus, then I am the ringmaster. That's what it is. It's me. It's my messy mom life. It's my amazing kids, my incredible team. It's just it's fun. It's fitness. It's failure, because that's real life.
Yes, I love it. I'm just thank you so much for being on the show, for being my mentor, for helping me to see what a good mom is, what a good wife is, what a good friend is. I'm just so grateful for you being in my life. So thank you.
Likewise, all of it. Yay! So lucky to have you.
Okay, Thyroid Warriors, get out there and take things one step at a time. Remember, be great, reflect on your triumphs, and as always, be well. Take care.